travel alone. Yeah, his partner rides in each town, so they can scope out, he can scope. So this he reports back to John Oliver. The marshal's out of town. We can ravage the town while he's gone. I guess they could do that. But Oliver, being the type of man that he is, he wants to treat the town people, like toys almost. Well, just torment the people for a little while. That's his fun. He just likes to torment. So meanwhile, while they're out there discussing how they're going to go into town, now he's filling in for the marshal, Micah. Michael's out of town, North Fork. So Lucas is the marshal till he comes back. And he's having his rifle repaired, and he's talking with the gunsmith. He's talking with the gunsmith, and while they're talking, the gunsmith happened to look out the window and sees John Oliver and his partner, and they're just slowly riding down, ramped up, or worried. Looks over at Henry, and he's like, he's seeing this look on his face. He says, well, what's wrong? I don't know too much about this Oliver person. So he said, well, Lucas is like, well, I've heard of him before. I've heard he had his share of gunfights, but he never encountered him, but he heard of him. So the gunsmith. So he says, well, there's not gunfights. They're executions. And Lucas is like, what do you mean? Well, he'll say he'll be back and just he's here 5 years ago. And he said he'd be, it was 5 years ago. And Lucas said, well, what was he waiting for? He said, well, I don't know. But just then, two other hired guns ride into town. And they're his men as well. Now he's already getting scared. He's like, uh-oh, look, somebody's surely going to die in Norfolk today, or as long as they're here and he sees them, he's getting scared. Somebody's going to die. So look. And Henry, he just shakes his head and he leaves. Because went across the street to the barkeeper, and he's sitting outside, and he got a scared look on his face. So Lucas is like, well, what's the matter with you, Abe? You look like you got cool, but he's not. Oh, nothing. And then he says, well, when Oliver comes back, that means only one thing. He'll be leaving us somebody to bury. And Lucas still don't get it. He said, well, what is it? What happened this 5 years ago? And he said, well, Oliver came to town alone one day. He came to Norfolk 5 years earlier, but he came by himself. But he said at that time, the boy pulled his gun. So, but it was pure murder. It was pure murder. And since we couldn't officially charge Oliver with anything, the town people, men, ran him out of town rail. Now, I don't really know so much courage to even do it back then. I guess by himself. So since he was alone, it was 5 times as many men just tied him up and put him on a rail. And he says, I guess we didn't look, though. I don't know. So, and we all knew he was a gunfighter, but since they were a mob scene, so to speak, that is a mob scene. So everybody's always brave when they got a whole bunch of people. So we see that even in today's society. Everybody got a whole lot of mouth. Everybody can be tough. as long as they got somebody behind them. So they're hollering out whatever they want to, that's how it is. Well, situations may be different, but how many times? Yeah, but why did he wait 5? Now, Abe, he's like, well, tell the truth, I don't know either. Anybody in the town knew 5 years. So Luke's saying, well, anyhow, as long as he's peaceful here, I mean, there's nothing really I can do. I can't say anything to him. But meanwhile, at the hotel where he and his partner, they have gotten a room, Oliver. Him and his partner have gotten a room. And Oliver, he's just laying down, really relaxing. He's calm. He's having fun already because the town's getting upset. And his partner, he's getting anxious because he's like pacing the floor back and forth. And he says he takes necessary chances. And Oliver's just taking it like he's playing a game. And he is, because this is fun to him. The guy, he just wanted to come to town and rob the bank and get out, but not Oliver. He wants to play this game. So out front, outside in front of the saloon, now these two hired gunmen, and later they're just standing around. Something happened. Well, they are waiting, but Oliver, he wants to play this game. So Lucas said, well, not to be after anybody, does he? But so he was at the blacksmith is at the office with Lucas now, and they're looking out the window. But when the blacksmith, he says the same thing that the other guy says. And he says, well, who's Oliver really after? So Lucas is like, well, he don't have to be after anybody. That's you all that's saying this. So the blacksmith, he says, well, those two guys aren't staying. So he says, he's telling Lucas, he says, but we're going to have a meeting at my livery stable in 20 minutes. Everybody's sticking together on this. So Lucas said, well, that's a good idea. You don't understand. It would never become. And Lucas is like, well, what? I mean, Lucas is still trying to get a clear picture. Henry's like, so what got into me that night? I don't know. I was just following the crowd. Why didn't I just mind my own business? He's thinking the guy's coming back for him because Lucas said, well, Henry, you can't blame yourself for this. No, and Henry, he's still, Nels talked me into it that night. He says, he had no right to do that. He took advantage of me. I'm a sick man. It just wasn't fair on this man thing. He says, Oliver was right at me that night. I know he's when they're trying to put him to the rail. He'd remember me. He might even think I was the ringleader. This man, Henry, he's just wearing his own self. So he says, they knew I wasn't the ringleader. They knew it. They wanted to be so brave. Why didn't they just go ahead and run him out of town? Why did they have to just Oliver? And Henry says, it isn't just Oliver. I've always been afraid from the time I'm a man. So he says, there is no now who doesn't have the greatest respect for you, Henry. You're their gunsmith. And he said, yeah, I was a coward. Nobody can blame a sick man. And when he said sick man, Henry said, he said, yeah. So Lucas said, I don't understand. He said, well, Dr. Burns, he understands. In other words, Henry's confessing that those pills, he just has them for a sham. That from just to give him, I should say, an excuse to not have to get involved. So Lucas sees he is so bent out of shape. He says, well, I'll have to talk with this Oliver and find out what's on his mind. Is that okay? Will that make you feel better? And Henry's like, yeah, that'll do. He's over there in the saloon. But if he asks, if he came here for me, you tell him that there's others in town who had more to do with this than I did. You tell them that Andy and Nels and he started naming all the other people. They're more to blame than I am. And just then he looked up and saw the expression on Lucas's face when he's named, because Lucas was like, I don't believe you about to sell out all your friends by name. Okay. I look like something's getting ready to shut down on me. I saw a message go across. But anyway, I hope it doesn't. So when Lucas looked at him, like he was like, I don't believe he's getting ready to sell out his. Henry said, I'm sorry. And he just kind of hung his head and shame, which he should have. But Lucas said, okay, that's fine. Just meet me over at the livery stable about half an hour. And Henry, calm yourself down. Just calm down. Loon and says, sit. Now the other three, his other two gunfighters, they're over standing at the bar. So Oliver says, so you're the deputy marshal of this peaceful place, I hear. Our marshal's out of town. So it's back. So people are wondering about you. And Lucas is like, well, what is it exactly do you intend to collect? And he said, well, you might call it self-respect. Now, as a marshal, you would have any objection standing up for his self-respect more for it. So Lucas saying, well, yeah, that's true. Go down on his grave and how he wants it to go down. I'm asking that a representative of this town meet with me in the street at sunup tomorrow. So Lucas is like, now wait a minute. Now you know very well that none of the men who chased you are out of town are capable of facing a gunfighter. You know that. You know none of them could face a gunfighter. And he said, well, first of all, they rode me from town, Mr. McCain, rode me, not chased me. And I'd kind of like to get the record straight. So Lucas is like, well, I'm curious, Mr. Oliver. Why did you wait 5 years to come back? And Oliver, you're a man, I don't care. He said, well, now I was Lucas is back. And that one guy attacked. And Lucas said, well, wait a minute. Is something wrong? Well, Abe, now this is everybody's cop out. One guy saying, well, you said you had words with him, Lucas. Well, the way I see it, like it's a personal thing. Now, and you're the marshal now, so it's not against the town folk. That fast. How quickly people turn on you. You think they turn on you fast now? And I thought you told me you were going to stick together. Lucas is saying, you just got to saying how you're going to stick together, no matter who he came after. Now, all of a sudden, he didn't come after the townspeople, you the marshal. So it Now Henry, the scary guy, he says, well, yeah, but you and Oliver having words, well, maybe you should have kind of honey talked him. In other words, kind of downplayed it and sucked up to him. I'll put it that way. Honey talked him and avoided the trouble. Now, as he shifted it all on Lucas. And Abe is like, well, we're in gun hands, Lucas. We just were sticking together for our own protection. And now everybody's chiming in on Lucas having to handle it. You're the marshal. He's right, Luke. Fighting ain't our job. Listen, tell me, you're trying to leave me to face Oliver and his men alone tomorrow? Now, they all kind of drop. Two of them start walking out the door. The third one, Henry, the scary one, he's the last one to leave. And he's like, well, you can't blame them, Lucas. Fighting isn't their business. Well, Lucas said, well, it's not mine either. It's your battle. I wasn't here, remember? It's not mine either. But as Henry starts to leave, now he turns around and he's a sick man. And just now he caught himself. He was getting ready to go on his soapbox about being a sick man. But then I guess he remembered earlier that the pills he take are just sugar pills. And so by now, Lucas was looking at him not only with disgust, but just disappointment. So after he caught himself, Henry just turned and left. So trying to figure out what he was going to do by himself, fight their battle. So now just Lucas went back to the marshal's office and he's just wondering what's going to become of him. Wow. So every time Lucas looks out the window, he can see them. That's just another one of their scare tactics. And at the same time, Oliver's got his tell, and that's of the marshal's office, every move that Lucas is making. So a distraught Lucas, as I put it, was just kind of like pacing up and down. First he would get up, then he would sit down, then he'd look at the right, then he'd look up. He just was trying to think in his mind, what do I do now? And Oliver, he's just watching all this. So he says to his partner, he says, I wonder what goes through a man's mind when he knows it's his last night. Now his partner's getting kind of annoyed about this because he says to him, well, this idea of yours is warning a man and then just watching him sweat. It's really going to cost you someday, because he wants to and leave. And Oliver just laughed at him and he says, well, it's done for a purpose. He says, when a man sweats the night through, he just ain't the same in the morning. I'd say by morning, Mr. McCain, he's going to be a mite fidgety. That means he won't have all his perspective. His mind will be rattled and he'll be almost out of control. So Henry comes back to the office, apologized to Lucas again. So Lucas says, don't you think it would just be better if you just stop talking about it? So Henry leaves the office as well, because out on the street, Mark had heard about this thing for tomorrow. So he knew that this man, Henry, was considered a coward because of this. So anyway, sunup comes, so Oliver goes onto the street, and Lucas sees him from the window. So he gets his rifle and heads for the street. And Oliver, when he gets out there, he sees Lucas coming out. He says, "Oh, it does me good." North Fork has one soul with backbone. That strengthens my faith in my fellow man.